Absolutely. You made a crucial point. We should keep in mind the historical context. The G77 plus China was formed in 1964 at the peak of the anti-colonial national liberation struggles. And that historical context is very important today because what we really see across the global South are many leaders who are invoking the legacy of the anti-colonial struggles. In West Africa right now, there is a mass wave of resistance against what they refer to as French neo-colonialism. They're protesting the fact, for instance, that France controls the monetary policy of these countries still, which are formally independent politically on paper. And yet many countries in the global South still feel, especially economically, that they don't have much sovereignty. I will say that, in fact, the United Nations, just this July, the Global Crisis Response Group released a very important report detailing how systematically unequal and unfair the financial system is, and how countries in the global South, which need financing for development goals, to reduce poverty, to build infrastructure, are forced to borrow at much higher interest rates. It's more difficult for them to service their public debt. Their public debt as a percentage of international public debt is rising at a much faster rate than the debt of the rich countries in the global North. So the entire international financial system was designed in a way that is completely unfair. And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said at this conference in Cuba that the United Nations will always listen to the voice of the global South. But I think we do have to challenge whether or not that's actually true, because it's not because of Guterres as a person, it's because of the structure of the UN. The reason an organization like the G77 plus China is so important is because the global South has not been given an adequate voice in institutions like the UN. The Security Council desperately needs to be reformed. Why is it that countries like the UK and France, which have a population of fewer than 70 million people, have permanent seats with permanent vetoes on the Security Council, and yet countries like India, which has 1.4 billion people, or Pakistan, or Bangladesh, or Brazil, or Indonesia, which have significantly larger populations, are not given the same weight in international affairs? This is why so many countries representing 4/5 of the global population are meeting in Cuba and calling for a new international system, because the existing system is clearly biased against their interests.